Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the coronavirus update video number 24.0. My name's Adrian Cockings, and if you're new to these videos, I basically do a rundown on the last 24 hours of the news, government official documents, and basically everything you need to do to keep up to date with the coronavirus here in Spain. Today's date is Wednesday, the 8th of April, 2020. And it's been a pretty nice day. You know, we've got some nice weather here in Murcia. So tell me where you are watching from right now. What is the weather like where you are? At the moment, we've got maybe 24, 25 degrees out there with some sun and a bit of cloud. So it's lovely. It's really nice to be able to just get a bit of vitamin D from the sunshine there. Now, as always, at the start of the show, I always like to go through the numbers. And yes, the numbers have just gone up a little bit. But again, this is nothing that is dramatic. So again, all the news headlines that I've been receiving about a dramatic U-turn in Spain, again, I'm not worried about these headlines in the UK because what's going on in Spain, I know exactly what's going on and I can see the numbers and I can judge for myself, which I think is very, very important as well. So everyone who is just joining us right now, welcome back, and lovely to see all of these people coming back, commenting again and saying hi. So, as of today, Wednesday the 8th of April 2020, there are 146,690 people infected. That is 6,180 over the last 24 hours. Now, yes, this has gone up, so we were actually expecting this, and I did say this in a couple of videos ago, that the new quick tests are arriving in Spain. They have been distributed, so with these quick tests, and actually having quicker results coming through, these are going to be the analytics of people who may not have been tested in the past, but now they are being tested. So yes, there could be the number of infected patients going up, but again, it's all because of these quick tests, and maybe they've had the symptoms but not been properly tested, so they haven't been counted in this. So this is to be expected. You know, we're not going to be exactly like a diagonal line. There are going to be some ups and there are going to be some downs, but as we can see over the last week or so, these are still good numbers that we can see, and we should keep following this level of numbers as well. As for the deaths, there are 14,555 deaths. That is 757 over the last 24 hours. And again, these numbers have gone up. So again, it's a bit of a shame these numbers have gone up, but we were most likely going to see this because we're not at the end of this. We're nowhere near the light of the tunnel yet, but this is the peak that we should be trying to get over at the moment. And as for the people who have recovered and have been cured, these are actually the best recovery rates that we've seen in the last 10 days. So there are, in total, in Spain, there are 48,021. This is just under 5,000 people recovered in the last 24 hours, which is unbelievable. This is the highest number in the last 10 days. So seeing this number, we're actually seeing a lot more recovery rate than there are deaths at the moment. So the deaths will still keep dropping, but the recovery rate should be around this number or even higher. If it does go low, of course, it could happen, but this is great numbers especially. Now, the government officials put out in the La Moncloa, which is basically the place where the palace that they give out all the news every day. They do it live on Facebook, normally twice a day, and they give out with the health sanitary worker or head of health sanitary in Spain, as well as other government officials as well, giving a presentation about these numbers and also any new updates as well. So what I did watch, I can only watch parts of it because I've got a full-time job as an estate agent as well, working on the website and talking to clients. So what I was able to see is they're actually happy with these numbers. They are starting to see the stabilization of the curve. And this was in their words. So the stabilization of the curve, which means they have gone up and it's stabilizing around this curve at the top here. Okay, so we're at the top, but it's just stabilizing in that little bit there. So if government officials are now looking at these numbers, and of course they're going to have massive amounts of scientists, mathematicians all behind them looking at these figures and trying to make predictions and everything as well. So if they've come out with this is good news. This is definitely good news. Now, a lot of people have been comparing these numbers as well and putting comparisons with other countries, putting comparisons into different regions as well. And Murcia is one of the lowest regions in Spain. Yes, we still have around 50 deaths so far, but the actual amount of infection in Murcia is actually quite low. I think we're fifth from the bottom of being the lowest. So it's really good what we're doing in Murcia. Valencia, Almeria, again, coastal towns, they're pretty good. They're not doing too bad. So comparing numbers, it's very difficult to do because the majority of people or of infections are in Madrid, Barcelona, and Castilla-La Mancha. So it's very, very difficult to be able to compare different areas like this. So some people have been asking about the UK, and of course, I wanted to do a bit of research on it today and just quickly looked at the numbers. And actually, over the last 24 hours in the UK, this is actually the numbers from yesterday, they had 786 deaths in 24 hours. This is over Spain. So I mean, you know, it's a crazy amount of numbers that, I mean, considering Spain over 2 days ago, they had about 450. And the UK are now up to almost 800. It's almost doubled, which is crazy with the numbers. So I'm going to be now looking at the UK numbers because what we have seen and what I've advised for anyone who is watching in the UK is to try and self-isolate as much as possible, stay inside and stay safe. But it's kind of going to be interesting to see the differences with countries that have had a serious lockdown, like Spain and Italy, and others where they've been a bit more relaxed with the lockdown, such as being able to go out to exercise 1 hour a day. And still I see photos and stuff from the UK being sent to me from friends back in the UK of people still sitting in the park in couples down on the beach having a barbecue. It's, you know, it's kind of crazy to see this and to think that with all the technology we have to share the imagery, to share the news from other countries, people still don't pay attention as much. So it's kind of crazy, really. But anyway, we'll go on to the latest news. We are up to almost 700 people watching now. And as always, please try and share this video as much as possible. I tried sharing it again yesterday. I got to about 3 different groups, and then Facebook Facebook notification came up saying you are sharing too much. So I've been marked as spam because apparently I'm sharing too much and liking all of your comments. So if you guys can share this for me, I really, really appreciate it because at the moment I can't get this information out there. It's up to you guys to do this, okay? Right, so we'll go into the news. And the news over the last 24 hours, it's been quite relaxed. Nothing major has been coming out, but the majority of it is actually positive. So the hospitals are now, they're managing to be able to cope with A&E. So that was the biggest problem that they had with patients coming in with coronavirus, and of course still trying to manage A&E. Now, of course, people are still having injuries, still having health problems, and they do have to go to A&E quite often. But from the news that have been coming out recently, over the last 48 hours, 72 hours, it's becoming more manageable. So the wards for coronavirus, they're now being sent to certain areas. So for example, in Madrid, they're using temporary hospitals, and they're starting to put this and implement this in lots of different regions around Spain. Valencia actually put up a temporary hospital in record time in Spain, and that's going to be accommodating to over 500 beds. Just specifically for coronavirus, which will leave the hospitals freer or more free to be able to work on A&E and anything that is actually hospital related, not just coronavirus. So this is good news coming out. They're able to manage the two things at the moment, but even more with the temporary hospitals opening up and more beds opening up as well. It's going to be a good way to manage all of this in separate locations. So that's always a good thing there. Also, they've said that in Spain, they've had the least amount of ICU patients in the last 7 days, which is fantastic news. So, of course, with ICU, this could be, we talked about this yesterday, this could be different ranges of ICU. It could be intensive care of very, very serious, where you have to have a machine to be able to breathe. It could be the mask, it could be the nose. We don't know what it could be, but this is classed as ICU. And the numbers that have been coming out have actually suggested that over the last 7 days, today is the lowest that there are patients in the ICU units, which is brilliant to know. However, the news that have been coming out as well, and I was reading this on Spanish news websites, they're not actually producing the amount of patients in the ICU units per region. They have been doing it previously, but actually they're not going to be doing this anymore because each region was calculating it differently. Like I said, ICU, they class as many different things, but they put it all under one. So we're not actually getting the correct numbers of ICU, so they've actually stopped putting out the figures for patients in ICU, and I think they're going to be working out something new before they start publishing this again. But at the moment, it's good that they've seen their mistakes and they've tried to fix it. They tried to make sure that they want to get the correct information out there, so that's always a good thing as well. Moving on to quick tests. Now, we talked about quick tests yesterday. There have been 5.5 million quick tests ordered by the government of Spain. There are 1 million, just over 1 million of these quick tests have now arrived in Spain, and they are starting to be distributed throughout the regions of Spain. So far, Madrid have seen the majority of these tests, and they've actually received just over 200,000 of these quick tests and have already been applied. And this is why I said these numbers now, which we are seeing, I think we're going to be seeing an inflection over the next couple of days, because these quick tests coming out over the next 3, 4, 5 days, this is where we'll start to see numbers of people who have the virus but may not show symptoms. And I think this is where we're going to show, or we're going to see a lot more numbers coming out. And it might scare a couple of people, but again, this is where people have to realize that these quick tests are now coming in. They're going to be more reliable, so this is where the numbers will start going crazy, let's say. So if the numbers do go up tomorrow, I'm not going to be surprised. If they go down, even better. But what we should be looking at definitely is the recovery rate and the recovery numbers of people coming out from ICU and coming out from hospital as well. So that's the quick test. We talked about that yesterday. Also, a lot of people have been saying about people, especially on the coastline, that people from inland Spain are now moving down to the coast for an Easter weekend. Now, yes, there have been rumours going around. There have actually been audios going around as well, which I'll get into that in a second. But from what I have done the research on with Guardia Civil, the local pages, they are actually doubling up on stop checks on all of the coastal roads, and that includes the back end ones as well. And what you'll find, if you're in a small village, a mountain village or something like this, they're actually blocking quite a lot of these villages and only having one entrance in and out with a stop check on it. And the way that they're blocking, I talked about this last week, the way that they are blocking these small villages is by dumping tons and tons of manure in the middle of the road so they cannot pass, which I think is a great idea, really, really good idea. And again, there's only one way in and out, and most of these small villages now are starting to install disinfecting vehicle machines. So basically, as you drive through, it sprays and it disinfects the vehicle as it goes through. Again, all positive things here, all good things that are going out here. But yes, the Guardia Civil are basically doubling up on stop checks from the main roads, motorways, and they will be turning people around and finding them if they find out that they are way away from their permanent residency, okay? Now, some people have been messaging me saying that their neighbours are now here when they shouldn't be. I've also been sent a lot of audios as well, audios in Spanish and audios in English. And these audios are basically people saying that I can't believe that there are neighbours here, they have tested positive for the coronavirus and they have come down from Madrid. So again, these audios that circulated at the start of the lockdown, there were lots of these different audios coming out. And again, you do have to be very, very skeptical when receiving these audios if it's from someone you don't know. You never know where these audios are coming from. You never know who's actually recording these audios, whether they're doing it out of spite, whether they're doing it for a joke or a hoax. So just be very careful when you receive one of these audios. Now, I actually got the Spanish audio sent to me, which I looked into straight away because I thought Spanish, I'll be able to find a bit more information. And in fact, I did. Now, this audio that actually came out was from a neighbour of a city or a town down in Malaga. He has stated that his neighbours have come down from Madrid. All four of them, a family of four, have got the coronavirus and they have just arrived here. And again, you have to question yourself, well, how does he know that they have the coronavirus? Where is this information coming from? Who is it? Etc, etc, etc. Now, doing a bit of research on it, I've actually found in the local Malaga news articles that this was actually a hoax that was put up from a neighbour a neighbour, someone who was actually in their teens. So this actually went out, and the mayor of Malaga actually had to put out a post to say that this is actually a hoax. Please do not continue passing this along. The protocol that actually went out were the police actually tracked down where this audio originated from. They went to this person's house, asked where their neighbours were, and of course there was nothing there. They couldn't actually do any checks. Now there are some others which are English that have been sent to me as well, and these English ones are basically just, I can't believe my neighbours are here, my Spanish neighbours from Madrid, blah, 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 blah. And actually following up on this, they've actually called the police. This was actually no mention of coronavirus, just saying that the neighbours from Madrid are now here. But actually, following this up, the police were actually called, and an investigation has actually been put into place. So again, great that these are now being reported. And this is what you should do. If you feel like someone has now arrived to a holiday home that has been empty for the last 2 months, and they have now arrived, best thing you can do is to call the local authorities. Now, this could be Policía Local, Policía Nacional, Guardia Civil, but all numbers will come under 112. This is the best advice that I can give you now. And I know some of you are going to say, well, what a snitch. Oh, la, 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 la. We're doing this out of the protection of our own. You know, it's the elderly and the young that we have to protect ourselves from. So just do your part, definitely. Right, also moving on the news, a bit of a downer there, but yes, I'll get into it. Of course, the EU, they have been meeting, of course, all the nations and the countries have been meeting and trying to get to an agreement of what they're going to be doing after this pandemic and what help they're going to be providing for each individual country. Now, as of yesterday, they went into a 16-hour meeting and no agreement has occurred from this. So we're still waiting to hear what announcement they're going to be bringing out from Brussels. But as of yet, the EU are not going to be doing any sort of benefits yet, but they are still trying to get an agreement. Now, this was apparently due to the French president basically saying no, he doesn't agree to the terms. And they've had to renegotiate everything again. So until the news comes out that there is some sort of negotiation going ahead, an agreement that has come together, I won't report any more of that. Okay. Right, now we're also going to go on to something that I've been following all of this week, which is people being allowed to go back to work tomorrow. And again, I've still tried to do my research. Nothing has come out on official government websites, official government documents. Nothing has been released that says you are allowed to go back to work. The only thing that does say this is a document that was posted on the 30th of March, and this was before the lockdown was even extended. So again, I'm still very, very skeptical about people going back to work because I have not had any confirmation to say that they are allowed to go apart from that document. And that document, we don't know if that could now be void because of the new extension going in. And this new extension that came out was about 50 pages long. So again, to find out all the information is taking me a long time. But I haven't seen anything yet that permits people to go back to work. The only people that have been saying that they're allowed to go back to work are the people who have said that their lawyer has said that they can, or that their solicitor or gestor has said that they're allowed to go to work because they're self-employed. And they've all sent me that little snippet of the document that was on the 30th of March. So I've done my research, but I still haven't received anything to say that people can now go back to work. Now, one major thing that I actually normally say is I will always do my research, but normally there's news articles and media talking about this before it actually happens. This is not the case in this situation. I haven't seen any real notifications saying that people can go out. The only articles that I've actually seen is from quotations, and it literally says the name who quoted this to say that people can now self-employment will start again on the 9th of April, but it never says where this actually came from in a document. It's just quoting from other people. So again, if you are self-employed, the best thing that I can suggest is not to go back to work tomorrow. At least wait until we get a confirmation. Until the 12th is when the first initial lockdown was actually put into place. And I think this Saturday there will be another announcement from the president, but we'll wait to see exactly if there is going to be an announcement or not. So again, if you know someone who is self-employed and they're thinking about going back to work tomorrow, just wait until we get a full announcement, and I will post it on this page straight away. I'll share it. Well, I can't share it now, but I know you guys will share it. Any information that comes out about self-employment with all the pages, all the friends and family that you have. So please be patient and try not to go back tomorrow, okay? Just in case, because what we don't want is for you guys to get a fine and thinking that you can go out, because it's going to be minimum of 600 all the way up to 30,000. So please don't go out yet, okay? Right, we're now going to go on to fake news. Now, I actually do this normally once a week. I do a deep dive in some fake news that has been coming out, and we talked about this earlier, like literally 2 minutes ago, about the fake voice messages that are going out and stuff like this. So there's some fake news that is going out here in Spain. It's not just, news media and stuff like this. It's actually a political party called Vox. And they've been putting out some very, very altered images, which is very scary because, again, this is a political party that has thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're sharing information. They're sharing photoshopped photos to, again, bring out the scaremongering in this crazy world that we live in right now. So Vox, they posted an image onto their Instagram. And the actual image itself, what they posted was a street, I think it was Gran Via in Madrid, and it had hundreds of caskets laid out on the floor and just a man who is delivering food walking between them. How could they do something like this? Because the original art or the original photographer who took this photo, of course, found out that they're using his image. He then posted the original, which is nothing like, there's no cat, it's just a man walking down the street. And yet this political party wanted to do a scaremongering tactic to say that this is the amount of people who have died in Spain. And it blew my mind. I never thought a political party would be this low to try and get people to follow them, to say that what they are doing is right. That's horrible. So again, if you follow anything from Vox, that is VOX, please don't. I really beg you, do not do that, because again, it's just proof that what they're trying to do right now is just scaremonger, and they're trying to scare people, and we can't be vulnerable to that. We have to be positive as much as possible with this, okay? Also, some fake news coming out of America, and I've been sent this over the last week, in fact, and I haven't touched on it, actually. I wanted to do some research, and today I actually sat down and did some research. Title is, Scientist from Boston Arrested by the FBI in Connection with Coronavirus Spreading. So, the article that came out from this, and it looked very official. It had basically a presentation from a FBI agent. It looked like there was government officials behind them, an American flag on a stage, podium and everything. And it basically, the article says that a worker from Boston, or a scientist from Boston, he was working in a Chinese laboratory, and he was the one who invented coronavirus or something like this, and he was the one who put it into action to kill many people, and he was working with the Chinese government to do that. And again, a simple fake news, because all you have to do is just type in the title in Google, and the first 5 websites that come up debunk all of this, and they go into detail exactly what is going on with this. So again, nothing like that has actually come through. There is no government official saying that a scientist working with China in conspiracy against America, nothing like this, okay? Also, I'm going to touch about this, and I might get some hate about this, but I might not. 5G. Now, we've had so many people messaging me about the 5G satellites, and 5G is causing coronavirus and stuff like this. I haven't touched on this because I actually thought most people would see something like this and think, okay, that's a bit crazy. Yes, I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories. Yes, I've seen a lot of documentaries about the 5G and effects of it and plans and stuff like this. And again, you have to do a bit of research on this, because all I've done is it's just doing a bit of research on 5G and doing a little bit of research on what coronavirus is itself. But 5G does not cause coronavirus. Nothing has been made out. I love how Ben actually talked about this. Nothing at all has been shared from any scientist to say that this is actually true. The only people that are saying this are basically people who are doing research and bringing this out to light, and there is no truth behind this. So if you're receiving anything about 5G causing coronavirus, please don't, okay? You know, it's just stupidity in my opinion. It really, really is, okay? Right, we'll go on to the next part. And this wasn't actually fake news. This was actually something that came out, and I did the research and I couldn't actually believe it. So the United States have been hit very, very hard with the coronavirus. There's been the amount of infections. They are now number one. They have been for the last week, number one of the amounts of cases in the United States. But they've done a lockdown. They've done it very differently. And in fact, the state of Florida are now permitting golf as an essential sport. And that means if you play golf, you're allowed to go out and play golf, even with this lockdown that has been put into place. Now, I wonder if they would do something like this in Spain. But yes, the state has basically approved that golf is now permitted, and it is now a law that it is an essential sport and it is permitted. So all golf courses are open in Florida, and you can go playing golf whenever you want, which is crazy. But it wasn't fake news, which I thought was quite interesting. Right, we'll move on to the last two things, and I've got a positive note to finish on here, okay? So Italy, of course, were a week ahead of Spain, and we followed them quite critically as well. You know, they went into full lockdown, and we followed them in Spain with a full lockdown put into place as well, with an additional 2 weeks of the non-essential workers then going into full lockdown as well. Now, Italy are actually going to be letting some businesses open up next week. So what we can see from this, that if we're a week behind them, and they're going to be opening up some businesses next week, I'm predicting that it will take another week and a half for at least Spain to start opening up some of these businesses, okay? So this is where I'm going back to the whole self-employment, going back to work tomorrow. I still don't think that this is going to be an official announcement yet. I still think it's going to be at least another 10 days or at least another 2 weeks before some businesses will start to be able to open up again. And again, we don't know what it's going to be like to come out of the lockdown. We don't know whether it's going to be gradual. We don't know if it's going to be all at once, or some businesses, some people. We just don't know what's actually going to be happening. Nothing has been announced, and until it does, I won't be able to share anything, okay? But yes, Italy, and the good news here, they're going to be opening up some businesses next week, which is fantastic. But the highlight of today, Wuhan, Wednesday, the 8th of April. Wuhan, where a coronavirus originated from, it was ground zero. After 11 weeks of lockdown, they are now completely free. They are open, and this is open to travel between different cities in China, but they are now completely open. And to see the images that came out at midnight last night was unbelievable. All of the buildings lit up, all of the fountains, everything, fireworks. It was unbelievable to see that going through after such a long time. 11 weeks of confinement, 11 weeks of pure lockdown, and they are now opening up to the public. You can go out. It is not mandatory to have a mask, but it is advised. So all of these people who are out and about in the streets at the moment, majority are actually getting trains and buses to go back to their hometowns and home cities in China, and they are now being able to be released and go out, which is unbelievable. And seeing that, I think, is a great highlight. Yes, it has taken 11 weeks, but I think us here in Spain, I think we've learned a little bit from what's actually happened, and I hope that we can do this in less time than 11 weeks. But if it has to take 11 weeks, then it has to take 11 weeks, and we just have to, you know, bite our lip and try and push forward on this, okay? That's the best thing we can do, okay? Right, I'm going to finish off today. Now, yesterday I asked you your question of the day, which was, where were you for your last birthday and what did you do? You guys swamped the comments, which was brilliant, with so many different things. A lot of you were on cruises last year. So many people were seen with your families and your first grandchildren, and it was brilliant to see all of the places. Now we're going to do something a little bit different today. Now a lot of people have been commenting about my t-shirts, and even one of my neighbour shouted down to me from the balcony the other day, and he said, "Are you not running out of t-shirts yet?" And no, I still have a few more t-shirts to go through. So this is going to be your question of the day, and it's actually going to be your question for tomorrow. What color do you think my t-shirt is going to be tomorrow's video? Okay, that's going to be your question of the day. Get guessing, okay, and then you can come back tomorrow and see if you are correct. What color do you think is going to be my t-shirt tomorrow? Now, this one I've had for a couple of years, but I had to dig it out from the bottom of the wardrobe. So what color is going to be my t-shirt tomorrow? That's going to be a good question. We'll see how many people can actually get it right tomorrow, okay? Right, guys, that is it for today. I really hope you enjoyed it today. Half an hour video, which is fantastic. Thank you again for liking, for commenting, for sharing. And again, please click that share button because I'm not able to at the moment on Facebook. If you can share it out to all the groups that you're a part of, anyone who may find this information interesting, to any neighbours or friends, even people back in the UK or all across Europe, get this out there because it's definitely helping a lot of people maybe who have properties in Spain or interested in Spain. So I think it's great for them to see what is actually going on here and to see a bit of positivity too. Right, guys, I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, stay safe. Remember, 8 p.m. tonight, get out onto those balconies, give a round of applause for everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye, guys.